being here today.
Hi. What a beautiful room. Everything is beautiful here.
How are you?
I am good. I'm loving it.
Thank you very much for being with us today. If that's okay with you, I'll go straight to the point with the first question. The Eternals are pure Jack Kirby stories, hardcore 70s comics with stories of cosmic proportions, about gods and gigantic entities. It is a huge mythology that goes back to the origin of mankind and beyond. How were you inspired by Jack Kirby's work while making this movie?
I had an adaptation experience right before Eternals, and I often find when a work is so grand and so big, bless you, it's very important to sort of look at the heart and the soul of it. And I try to ask myself, why did Jack Kirby created the Eternals? And I felt like at that time he had a desire to take a step aside from the popular narrative in order to gain a new perspective of the genre of storytelling. And it's perfect timing that after the Infinity Saga that we're able to take a step aside from the MCU and just see how we can deconstruct some of the principles, foundations that this whole genre is born out of. It's very exciting.
As I was saying just before you arrived, the Eternals combines continuing the existing Marvel Universe while developing this whole new mythology. And I know these two aspects were kind of one of your main focuses while making this movie. How did you manage to find your balance between what's new you want to bring to the table and what's already there?
Well, the film is set immediately after half of the population returned to Earth. For me, that is a big ecological event. And it's great to be able to have a story that's set in that time and the impact that it had on our planet. So with that locked in, and also knowing we're going to be exploring the origin of the MCU, and knowing that it's going to have repercussions for the future, I was very much encouraged to make a standalone film in the middle and not rely on Nick Fury to show up, even though I really wanted to, but they said, no, Chloe, let's focus on these new characters, new stories.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Maybe we can... Yeah,
Ici.
Alors attendez, ici d'abord. First question from the audience.
Hi, thanks. The movie is great. I have two questions. First question is about your influences. In September 2020, you spoke about manga, and I found some influences, and you said you wanted to do more of this combination of Eastern and Western cultures. So the first question is, how did you do that? Was it complicated? And, well, what is your process? And the second question is completely different. Can you give us a hint on who is the last voice? This one. Thank you.
This is coming out like now?
It's coming out tomorrow. But everybody's seen the movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but don't.
Oh.
So
go after those three. Let's just say he is someone that you will soon meet in the MCU. Very exciting. One of my favorite superheroes. I have to give them something. Okay, so if you don't see me ever again after this, you know who to report. The first question, I appreciate you asked that because manga is such a big part of my life. And there are two things. One is tonally. If you know manga, you know that we take ourselves very seriously. Meanwhile, something ridiculous will happen, and some really out of this world humor, and now interweave together. Tonal consistency doesn't exist in manga. And I think that I might have carried that a little bit with me in my filmmaking. And also the action, I'm sure you can see reference from Yu Yu Hakusho and Dragon Ball Z, and also think about Sailor Moon, Zodiac Knight, and we're talking about a team. And they share similarity in their costumes, but each have their different colors.
Thank you very much. Next question, please. Yes.
Bonjour. Dans votre cinéma, jusqu'à présent, il était question de personnages qui traitaient avec la fin du mois. Aujourd'hui, vous traitez avec des personnages qui ont affaire avec la fin du monde. Qu'est-ce que ça induit comme changement de perspective et comme changement philosophique?
Okay, so till this day in your movies, your characters were kind of dealing with the end of thyself, and now you have new characters that are dealing with the end of everything, the end of the world. What does it bring, this change of perspective, like philosophically?
That's a really good question. I haven't really thought about it that way. Thank you for mentioning it. I think we put ourselves through fires in order to be reborn. We put ourselves through as big of obstacles as possible so we can learn more about who we are. And in smaller independent films I made, I kind of put my characters always through the most earth-shattering tragedy they can imagine, so they can be reborn. And in this story is a whole people, humanity. And so hopefully through that story we can think about what's important, our relationship with our planet and ourselves and each other.
Thank you very much. Another question? Yes.
Bonjour, Elie Albana de Script. I'm very sorry because I will ask you that question in French. Comment avez-vous travaillé professionnellement mais aussi personnellement cette transition entre Nomadland, un film beaucoup plus intimiste, avec un budget un peu plus, on va dire, plus film d'auteur, et Les Eternels, grosse production, Marvel Studios? Comment vous avez travaillé cette transition qui peut paraître compliquée pour une réalisatrice? Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Thank you. How did you work this transition between making maybe smaller auteur movies and then suddenly being part of a huge production with a much bigger budget and maybe a much bigger pressure on your shoulders? How did you manage to find your own balance between what you were doing before and what you did with this movie?
That's exactly what I understood. In French, I can understand a little bit. That's exactly what I thought you asked. I don't know how to do things any other way, but to do things from my gut. You know, every decision I make, my relationship with the people I work with, my relationship with the cast, my relationship with the camera, it's always something I have to feel. If I can't feel it, I can't even get up in the morning, I'm not going to show up. So fundamentally, it doesn't feel different because it comes from the exact same place as I made my previous films. Marvel Studios, to the surprise to many people, is very different than a lot of traditional studios in Hollywood. There are very few of them actually are in charge. There's 3 people. And I often only talk to 2 of them to make all the decisions. And so they've really created a bubble for me to exist safely. And they will catch me if I fall, but they let me fly, you know, when I feel safe.
Thank you very much. Another question.
Bonjour, Gauthier Jorgensen pour Satellifacts. First of all, congratulations for all the achievements this year. It's really special. Congrats. En français, la question, je voulais rebondir sur ce qui vient d'être dit. Vous changez d'un projet à l'autre de manière spectaculaire, et je voulais savoir quel sera votre prochain projet. Est-ce que ça sera quelque chose d'aussi grand que ça? Est-ce que ça sera un retour au cinéma beaucoup plus indépendant? Qu'est-ce que ce sera, tout simplement? Sur quoi vous allez travailler?
Okay.
I didn't understand that one.
Oh, you did understand it, you didn't? Okay.
So it's harder.
This gentleman was talking about the future of your movies. Now that you've done your first movie, and this one, which, as we said, is a much bigger production, where do you want to go next after this journey? Where does your gut tell you to go?
Moments like that in life, I always think about my idol, Bob Dylan, and who famously said, "He not busy being born, is busy dying." And I will always look for projects that allow me to be reborn over and over, that I can come into that project completely naked and have to relearn everything. I had to grow and terrified. I need that feeling. Otherwise, I don't know how to create, you know? So right now, my next project is with Universal, Dracula. And so we'll see. I feel like I'll be pretty naked going to that one, so we'll see.
Okay, okay, great. Merci. Next question, yes?
Oui. Je voulais savoir si vous aviez accepté ce projet parce qu'il correspondait aux thématiques que vous développiez dans vos autres films, à savoir la notion de bien et de mal, et surtout celle d'être maître de son destin. Et en deuxième question, est-ce que vous avez vu un film qui s'appelle Le jour où la Terre s'arrêta? Est-ce qu'il vous a un peu influencé?
Shall I translate? Okay. There's two
That
questions.
was a one-hit wonder.
Two questions. The first one was, est-ce que vous pouvez répéter la première question, s'il vous plaît? Ah, pardon, désolé. Je suis resté sur The Earth.
Est-ce que ça correspond à toutes les thématiques qu'elle a développées, à savoir la notion de bien et de mal, et surtout qu'on est maître de son destin?
Exactement, merci beaucoup. Did the fact that this movie, The Eternals, is about one of your core thematics, which is being the master of your own destiny, and the line between evil and good and evil, was it something that drove you to The Eternals in the first place? And the second question was, have you ever seen a movie called The Day the Earth Stood Still, and did it influence you in any way?
Which version? No, we actually almost put that version of the film, the original version, on the TV on the Kinko's jet. But because it was black and white and it was a little too noticeable, we had to change it to Empire Strikes Back. But yes, I have seen it. It definitely done, especially the moment they first encounter each other. Very much so. The first one was
About,
yeah. I think the idea of personal sort of determination. I actually find a lot of my films have individuals who really want to be the master of their destiny. However, their tools of doing that is taken away, whether it's their family in nomad land, their town, or in the writer, the ability to write, and in the theme of Eternals, their faith and their sense of self. I think I put them through that because I personally believe that we cannot survive on our own. That it's actually quite important to have a connection with something bigger. Because I was not raised religious, I'm not a religious person, but I find that something is lacking inside of me by not believing in God. So I'm trying to build a relationship with nature, and I'm trying to understand why I exist in the universe, what's the purpose of my existence. So I think my characters are always struggle with that balance, a sense of self and versus a connectivity to something bigger.
What's the second part of this question?
Oh, that was the second question.
Okay, great.
That was the first question, but you answered to the second question before this one. Do we have a next question? Yes?
Hello, Ludwig from GAC. First of all, thanks a lot to be here and to spend your time with us. So my question will be this one. You said before that you're born with manga like Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, or Knight of Zodiac. So I just want to know if you could do a live-action movie of one of the manga. Hard feeling.
How long do you have? Do you have all night here? Because I can go on and on.
I have 10 years.
Okay.
So yes, so if you could do a live-action movie, which one it would be? Thank you.
It's a very, very difficult answer because it's very hard to do a live action. And if you're true manga lovers, you know it's almost impossible to get it right. It's got to be Yu Yu Hakusho. Yu Yu Hakusho changed my life. you know, and they are doing a live action. I found out Netflix, I was like, me, but then they're already doing it with someone else. And it's all set in Japan. So to do a live action manga, but make it international is quite difficult. Now, Trigon, I don't want to throw a message out there. I love Trigon. And I think Trigon might be a chance to do it more internationally. But still, you don't touch classics like that. It's very dangerous. I don't want to be responsible for that, you know? So we'll see.
Yeah, I can understand. Next question. Yes.
Bonjour. Je voudrais que vous nous parliez de votre choix de musique, qui est un peu différente pour l'univers Marvel.
Yes, can you talk to us about the choices you made for the music of this movie, which is quite different from what we've heard in previous Marvel movies?
Are you talking about the score or the needle drop?
Not the score.
The needle drop. Okay. Well, it's a very eclectic collection of songs. I take responsibility of those. It kind of represent how weird of a person I am. And because these songs are everything from Pink Floyd to BTS to, you know, Juicy and Moral Haggard and The Foreigner. That's all music I love. It's pretty simple.
But Pink Floyd was very, I thought, very on point
I'll tell you, the reason why Pink Floyd doesn't appear in films very often is because it's extremely expensive.
No.
Almost impossible. But this song, I wanted a song that feels global. I think like everyone from every culture listens to Pink Floyd. It's kind of a song that's popular, but it's also very, very global. And the lyrics of the song and the instrument, it can't be better for that, so I have to bite the bullet.
Thank you very much. Merci. Une autre question de côté. Bonjour.
Bonjour. J'aimerais savoir quel rapport vous entretenez avec le western, notamment, puisqu'il y a un côté western dans tous vos films, y compris un peu dans Les Eternels, et notamment avec un réalisateur comme John Ford.
Okay, let's talk about Western movies and John Ford. What kind of relationship do you have with these kind of movies? Because this person seems to think that there is a presence of Western movies in all the movies you've made, including this one.
If I'm being completely honest, I only watched 3-4 westerns before I made The Rider. And then and then people say I am working in the Western genre, so I started to do my homework because I didn't grow up with them. And then I really fall in love. You know, lately it's the first time I've seen My Darling Clementine and Red River and these movies. My mind is blown. You know, I have so many more to discover. However, the reason why the Western genre was born, I think it comes out of our curiosity as a species about what's beyond the horizon. There's both anxiety, curiosity, and fear and passion towards what's just beyond that horizon. Let's discover it. You know, so as a result, that genre is born. And I find that today in the superhero genre and the sci-fi genre, almost like we've explored everywhere on the planet. So we start to ask, what's above in the sky? You know, what's our relationship with technology? What's the point of human existence? And in the case of Avatar, I'm excited. It's about what's in the depths of the ocean, right? And so I find myself drawn to genres that explore, that come out of this collective anxiety we have about as humanity. And because in order to, when I make films within those genres, it actually helps me to deal with my daily anxiety of where we go from here.
Je crois que nous avons une dernière question, c'est ça? Oui.
Bonjour, Maxime de Jeu Actu. J'ai deux questions. La première, je voudrais savoir comment Marvel vous a approché. Est-ce qu'ils vous ont fait confiance justement pour votre façon de filmer qui était vraiment différente des autres? Est-ce que vous avez eu carte blanche justement? Vous avez dû suivre la formule un petit peu Marvel? And second question, we know that Gemma Chan is the main character of the movie, but we know that she was already in the MCU in Captain Marvel. She was Minerva. What was it an obstacle to the fact that she was already in another character.
So this is interesting. There's a question in French and a question in English. Thank you very much for that. The first question was about how did Marvel Studios approach you, and did they give you free reins when doing this movie, knowing that you have a very distinctive voice and style before doing The Eternals? And the second question was in English, so thank you very much.
When I made The Rider and Nomadland, and songs my brothers taught me, I went into the world that's not my own. There's actually a deep, deep collaboration between me and the characters in the world and the people that operated that space. I could not have just made a film based on my vision. So much of the film is a shared vision. It's the same when I entered the MCU. It's a shared vision. And it is that way because that's how I love to make films. It's a collaboration. So I don't see it as free reins. I see it as, are we passionate about the same story? Since day one, the producers at Marvel and me, we got passionate about one idea, not just what it is, but how we make it. And from that moment on, it's just about going to work. Cersei, we searched for so long. My goodness, we auditioned hundreds and hundreds of actresses. We still couldn't find our Cersei. And you know, the way I cast in Nomadland, Frances actually suggested some of the other casting from her own life. And we cast Richard Madden first as Icarus. And he did say, you know, Gemma Chan, have you auditioned? We hadn't auditioned Gemma at the time because she's been in the MCU. And he said, you know, we're really close friends in real life. And that just, that sparked something in me, and then we brought Gemma in to read it right away. She didn't even have to do much. She walked in like, the way she was, and like, that's our Cersei. That's Cersei. You know, so she was blue in the other one. You couldn't quite recognize her. So I think it was okay, no? Chris Evans has been to Marvel movies. Yeah, and she is Cersei, you know? So.
Okay, I think that's it for us today. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.